Yeah, I think it's such a good point because when we think about, okay, as you can see, this is very additive. And everyone understands like this is a very much an additive exercise. So we have the problem, we have the solution. Okay, but what's the money going to go towards? What difference is it going to make? Why should I give you money? That's the whole idea here. And so when we can really make it clear how we are tying dollars invested into real outcomes, we have an exciting opportunity. So when we look at these action steps, define your year-end funding by showing the outcomes. What difference is this money going to make over short-term, mid-term, long-term goals? Think of that from everything from 6 months to 10 years, that kind of a timeline. You can stretch it further if your programs permit. We also want to think about scale. How many people or communities will this affect? What percentage of the bigger problem will this help us get into? That's really important for people to understand. Oh, this is where you're taking this. This is how you're solving the problem, and my money is going to contribute to that. It also gives us urgency. Why now? What will happen if I give today? But what also happens if nobody gives? What's the cost of inaction? That's a very important thing to lean into. And we also get to camp out on transparency. And we're going to talk more about that in just a bit when we talk about how are we going to report back the impact that's been created to our funders. So defining the funding need is extraordinarily important. But we also get to take that a step further, just being very clear on how the funds were going to be used, right? Because transparency is what builds trust. In case you're wondering, the reason why donors stop giving is that they are never thanked for their gift or they're never updated on the difference their gift created. A lot of a lot of donors have a negative attitude towards nonprofits. They can feel like black boxes. Like, okay, I gave all this money, but what actually occurred? That's an unfortunate place to be in, but this is a solvable problem. When we show people what the money is doing, when we show people the difference their money is creating, we can do it with very clear dollar amounts, using phrases like, here's how your gift fuels the mission. This brings a lot more transparency, a lot more trust. And honestly, what this looks like for fundraising is an increased donor lifetime value, which is exactly what you want to do if you're trying to raise more money. You want to increase LTV in that regard. But Lauren, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this regarding the use of funds.
Definitely. So defining the need on the prior slide and use of funds are definitely very much related. What we put here is a pretty high level overview that I think could convey, or if you're putting this on a website landing page that's about a specific campaign. If I were putting this onto the actual donation page, the digital donation page, we did a webinar last week with Fundraise Up and explained how little impact statements or impact descriptors right there where they're giving is really important. And so I would modify these amounts depending on how this is being communicated and formatted. And so if say you're doing a presentation for high net worth donors, then I might change this to $1,000 goes toward this specific effort, initiative, or outcome. $5,000 will result in XYZ. If you're putting this on a digital fundraising page, I would reduce that, maybe do $10 goes to this, $20 goes to this amount. And so modifying this a bit. And then if you have someone who's really interested and they might want to fund your entire, this transportation line item at the top, then they might ask for a more detailed budget and report. That's perfectly acceptable too, but you don't have to overwhelm the general components of the campaign with too much information. But again, just modifying this based on where and how it's being used.